All right, LSU's gone. Their media day stuff's in the books, but I kind of wanted to talk about where my head's at with them. There were like a million different radio interviews I did about LSU, about Brian Kelly when LSU was in Atlanta, and I swear to you, like every one of them asked a variation of the same thing, and that thing is hot seat. Like, is Brian Kelly on the hot seat? And I was like, no, but, and it's like there's this feeling I have inside myself that says it's ludicrous to say Brian Kelly's on the hot seat. They've been plenty good enough, and I believe that. However, knowing LSU football like I do, knowing the standard that you're held to in the SEC, and knowing the job he has, there's this rare breed of coach that enters a season not on the hot seat. Like, so if you need to be 5 feet or shorter to be on the hot seat, he's like 5'1", but he's a guy who could go from not being on it to, like, fired within a year. It's not my prediction. It's just the kind of weird position I think Brian Kelly's in. So here's my thinking there. So they went and relied heavily on the portal this past cycle. I've told you I think Austin Thomas is doing as good a job as any general manager in college football. I think that a cycle ago they retooled their defensive staff the way they needed to. I believe them when they talk about how committed they are to running the ball, how committed they are to coming out of the gate hot. But then the follow-up question is, okay, well, did you not want to run the ball before? Were you not taking week one seriously before? So words don't win you games. Execution and good development and good preparation wins you games. So I'm willing to wait and see on that. But my point is the LSU fan base, I think, feels this way. They look at Brian Kelly and they say, hey, he's our guy. Yeah, he's our guy. But he better get the job done. Then the follow-up to that is that fair? Well, absolutely it's fair. It'd only be unfair if you could tell me there's something Brian Kelly needs to win that he hasn't been given. Okay, and last I checked, he left Notre Dame for LSU because he felt he didn't have everything he needed in South Bend that he was going to be given in Baton Rouge. They followed through. Like LSU athletics, the state of Louisiana, it's there, man. The LSU fan base, it's there. So now Brian Kelly, man, it's the most fair proposition in major college football. We're going to put you on a big pedestal. We're going to pay you a lot of money. And we're going to give you every resource you need. Now you give us wins. And if you don't, we'll get rid of you and we'll find someone else. It doesn't help the matters if they fall short this year that literally every other coach there this millennium has won a national championship. That's 3 of them this millennium that have won national championships at LSU. If you're the one dude who can't, they're not going to look in the mirror and say, we're the problem, nor should they. They're going to look at you and say, you know, we tried this. Maybe it's not working. Okay, so that sounds negative. That sounds glass half empty. The glass half full is maybe they hit on those guys in the portal. The glass half full is Blake Baker, year 2 defensive coordinator there. Maybe they do take a much bigger leap. And for the record, I do expect that. Here's the third part, the maybe. Maybe they go to Clemson and win week 1. That'd be huge. I'm at SEC Media Days. That'd be huge for the conference. Dude, that'd be huge for LSU as a program. Not to mention what it would say about Dabo, Clemson, back against the wall already. But I don't know. I think Brian Kelly, for being decades into his career, it is totally understandable if you look at him within the context of LSU and say, he's still got something to prove to me. Because you know what? At LSU, Brian Kelly still has something to prove to me. So if you said that, I would agree with you.